This week, it's all about Joshua Tree National Park.
Welcome to the Bourbon Van. I'm Phil.
I'm Julie.
And we had the best week ever.
We did. I feel like I'm living a dream right now.
Joshua Tree National Park is absolutely fantastic, and we had expected to spend a couple of days visiting it. What we didn't expect was that we would find an amazing campground and wind up spending an entire week there. Totally fantastic, and we were going to talk all things Joshua Tree, all the sights, the things that we loved, and the disappointments that we experienced there. And we will get to all of that, but we also have to today talk about a brand new whiskey. That's something that we're excited to try, and this, full disclosure, is something that was not only gifted to us by the distillery, but also it's been open for some time. We've been tasting it, and so even though I've got a cold and you're going, you can't taste anything with a cold, we've been drinking this for a while. We have some tasting notes, and we're going to share it. The whiskey in question, Brothers Bond Bourbon.
80 proof.
80 proof, right. This is their standard offering. It is a 4-grain whiskey, and it is sourced, and it is 80 proof. And I'll tell you something. I like what they're putting out there on their website. They're definitely all about that sustainable farming and stuff. I don't know much about farming, so maybe it's all smoke and mirrors. Maybe it's marketing. But I just applaud people that are trying. And also, something you don't know about them, I don't think, is that the two fellas in charge of it are actors who apparently were on a show called The Vampire Diaries.
Oh, I've heard about this. I haven't seen it, but I think I'm too old for it. I feel like it was maybe 10 years younger than we were.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought maybe you were familiar with it, because I definitely wasn't, but I appreciate...
We were True Blood fans.
Love True Blood. So we appreciate what they've been up to, and we're very grateful to them for sending us whiskey. So what actually happened with this brand is that formerly they had sent us a couple of bottles, including a rye that we really, really liked, and a cask strength version of their bourbon, which we also liked. We tasted them on a live stream, and ultimately what we said is the spice on the cask strength is a little bit intense, but if you brought that down a little bit, that standard offering, it might actually balance out all that sweetness really nicely. And so they sent us their standard offering. What I was expecting was something in the 90-ish proof range.
Right.
What we received is an 80 proof whiskey. Now, we don't drink a lot of 80 proof whiskey, but we are going to taste this, give our objective review on it. Let's get into the nose first, and then I want to go back to Joshua Tree. We're going to bounce around a little bit in this video.
Yeah.
All right, onto the nose. Here we go.
It smells very sweet, a bit appley.
Totally agree.
Caramel. I was the first one to get sick, and I'm feeling good today.
Look
so
at you.
my smell is back on target.
And I'm actually with you today. I'm feeling a little bit better. The thing that I get that I find very unique about this whiskey, and this, if you are of semi-Dutch American descent, you might already be very familiar with this flavor, almond paste.
Ooh, I love almond paste.
A lot of Dutch American bakers use almond paste in their pastries. I'm sure other people do too, but that's just how I'm familiar with it. I love that smell, and I'm totally getting it here.
Yeah, and I have a little bit of apricot on this too. So it's not your regular fruit that you would normally get. That's not what I'm getting on the nose for this one. I say regular, but not your cherries and your strawberries and your berries and what we come to love about bourbon. So
I would like to take a sip of this whiskey, and then we're going to talk Joshua Tree. Ready?
Ready? Oh, cheers. Oh, it's good flavor.
It's very palatable at sunset,
Wow.
I can tell you that much.
Yeah, I think I was expecting this to drink really thin because it's 80 proof. And so that's just what you come to know and expect about an 80 proofer. But there's actually a pretty solid viscosity in this. Like, it coats the tongue. I mean, not the entire tongue, but the front of my tongue feels like there's a lot of flavor on there.
You know what's interesting about this whiskey is that we said with the cask strength, oh, it's so spicy, and that it does offset that sweetness, and we like that, but where's the balance? It was a little too heavy spiced, even though we still liked that whiskey. This is exactly as I hoped. The spice tamps down that sweetness just enough, and it allows that earthiness to come through and provide a unique balance there. Very interesting whiskey for 80 proof.
This reminded me of cotton candy. Like, it's a little bit sticky on the tongue, too.
Yeah.
very much enjoying this.
Fantastic. Speaking of very much enjoying things, our first day in Joshua Tree, we spent it in the rocks area.
Yeah,
we kind of
Jumbo rocks and skull rocks and all the rocks.
We had a very central focus. We wanted to do about 10 and a half, 11 miles that day, and we managed to do it. So we started with the rocks section, and then we went up to the 49 Palms Oasis section, and we're going to show you both of those things right now. By the way, chapters are enabled. You can skip over that stuff and come right back to the tasting if you like. We just like to share this stuff, so check this out.
Welcome to Joshua Tree. We're about to do our first run here. It's a little bit chilly. There's snow on the ground. I got my hat, my gloves, but the sun is shining and it's a beautiful day. We're going to go see Skull Rock, Jumbo Rock, and Split Rock. And we're taking you along for the ride. Let's go.
What were your favorite things to see here?
Yeah, well, definitely the most touristy of all of the rock area is Skull Rock, and it's really cool. I gotta say, my favorite was both Split Rock and Face Rock, and Face Rock wasn't really even on the map, and we just kind of ran through, saw it, and I thought it was really cool. It looked like a face.
Yeah, Face Rock was pretty cool. I especially liked that it reminded me of Sloth from the Goonies.
Next up, Arch Rock Trail. It's a shorty, but it should be beautiful.
How fun was that? 1.5 miles and it was beautiful. That was totally worth it.
It was beautiful, and the key is meet another couple so they can take your photo and you can take their photo, and then you're out of there. Last run of the day, 49 Palms Oasis, 3 to 4 miles. Here we go. Well, we saved the hardest trail for the end of the day.
We were going to do this one first, but realized we couldn't get a pass at this entrance, so we had to go around to the other entrance. That's why we did the other ones first. So we finished, and I'm exhausted.
I'm exhausted too, but I have to tell you, this one was totally worth it. It was just kind of mind-blowing, actually. You're running, it's sand, it's rock, it's granite, and then all of a sudden, you know you're running towards an oasis, but all of a sudden, palm trees. There's no water in sight.
Huge palm trees, and so many of them. This was such a fun trail. Highly recommend. And what was it, just over 3 miles? 800 feet of elevation gain. So if you come here and it's hot out, bring lots of water and be patient, because it is definitely, they call it a strenuous trail. I would say that's accurate.
Those of you who didn't skip that with the chapters, how fun was that, right? Yeah. Beautiful day, long day, but absolutely worth it.
Chilly day.
Chilly day, yeah. The snow was totally unexpected, but absolutely a beautiful day. We had a great time there, and it was hard. I'm not going to say it was an easy day to put in that mileage, but just beautiful. Joshua Tree, what a great introduction to it we had.
Loved it.
And speaking of introductions, we are now on our second or third sip of this whiskey here. How are you feeling about it so far?
I like it. I'm getting more flavors here. A little bit of vanilla, a little bit of oak. I could picture myself sitting in my rocking chair over here. We got little rockers that we camp with.
Why not?
And drinking this, I love something that's lower proof that you can just enjoy like early, mid, late afternoon, so that you're not
talking about all day.
Or all day, so that you're not just like drinking 120 proofer and then going to bed. Like it's just, just seems really palatable. The flavors are surprising for 80 proof. I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting this much flavor.
Well, I agree with you on all points. And the vanilla that was the first note you mentioned, that's what's bubbling up here more and more on the palate. I'm really enjoying that. Speaking of getting a lot with low expectations, we stayed at a campground called Hidden Valley, kind of in the central area of Joshua Tree National Park. This campground, really a climber's paradise more than anything else, but we found it to be the perfect launch point for trail running, hiking, just exploring in general. We had a great couple of days there where we explored the Hidden Valley Trail, a gold mine, some ruins, and that sort of thing. Have a look at that. And again, don't forget, chapters are enabled, so if you don't want to see this stuff, skip past it.
But don't skip. It's fun.
So that was a great place to get lost in. And oh man, we did get lost a few times. Definitely have your offline maps downloaded, but totally worth it. What did you think?
I loved it. I find Joshua Tree so interesting because there's obviously set trails there.
There's so many bugs here.
There are so many bugs. But because of like the big rocks and the sparse vegetation, it feels a bit choose your own adventure, but you don't necessarily want to because it all does look remarkably the same. So you know that you passed rocks, but are those the rocks you passed yesterday or are those the rocks you passed 2 minutes ago? Like, you really want to stay on trail because I feel like it could be easy to get lost.
I think it could as well. And definitely, we were there. This is being filmed in January, February. Keep in mind, if you go there warmer months of the year,
oh my gosh,
you better go with a lot of water.
Yes.
We have 25 gallons on board. It was kind of barely enough for a week there. You definitely want to pack your water. What were your favorite things that we got to see there?
I was so excited to go to Joshua Tree. I have been for years. I feel like the only thing I knew about it was Joshua trees.
Yeah.
But what I found interesting, there's definitely Joshua trees, but it's all the other stuff that I thought was so cool. The rocks that you can just like kind of boulder and climb and mess around on like you're a little kid. The Cholla Cactus Garden, which is one of the stops on the main road, I think blew my mind. We had been seeing these cacti the entire week and they were just so different and cool and you kind of wanted to touch them. They looked fuzzy, but you knew that they were just about to just like porcupine you, like just throw those needles at you.
They look fuzzy, but they are not to be messed with.
But that garden, which I feel like is probably an Instagram's dream, an Instagrammer's dream or whatever, was so beautiful. And I just loved walking through them and just looking at them, and it just brought a smile to my face and made me so happy. I just thought it was so fun.
Yeah, everybody else there, like the women were in sundresses and the guys were following them around with cameras, and we were like, this is neat. Look at this one over here. Try not to touch it.
Sun hat on.
Look, this one's got fruit on it. Like, we were geeking out and everybody else was like posing. Yeah. So we're bad at the influencer part. I have to say my favorite part of all the things that we saw there, I love the ruins. I love the old ranches. I love the old mines that we got to see. I love the history of it so much. There was even a sign that a guy had put up. He had been attacked and he had shot the guy that attacked him. Oh, that was so cool. And he put like a headstone there when he got out of prison to say like, I did this and here's where I did it. And I was like, wow, this is really intense.
Hardcore.
Super cool though. The ruins, I love that type of thing because you're seeing things that are not going to come back. They're falling further into ruin all the time. It's just stuff that's being forgotten from history all the time. And I mean, it's going to happen to all of us for some reason. I just find that fascinating. And I love that they had so much of it there. Didn't expect it. I thought it was going to be all nature stuff. Turns out that there was a lot of really cool history there too. So that was the stuff that really blew me away. Now, is this whiskey blowing you away?
80 proof.
Yep.
Was not expecting much.
Yep.
So flavorful. It's not the richest, deepest, darkest flavors that you're going to get in a bourbon by any means, but the flavors are really nice. I wasn't expecting much from an 80 proofer, but I'm getting vanilla. I'm getting slight oak. I'm getting some, what do we call those stone fruits, those apricots. I'm really enjoying this and I do like it.
Yep.
And I don't know why I'm surprised, but you know, we try not to be proof hounds, but I do have lower proof stuff, and I'm like, oh, I wish it was proofier.
Yeah.
But this one, I actually think the flavors are so nice that it would be nice to have a low proof drink that you can just have as a daily sipper, and this would qualify for me.
Yeah, I do think that we hold lower proof stuff to a higher standard because we have lower expectations for it. We go, if you're going to serve me something low proof, it better be good. And I do think this is good whiskey. I am enjoying it, definitely. The one issue I may take with it is that we've seen it a few times here in our travels, and it sells on average for $41 is what we've been seeing it. And I suppose that my concern there is that if I'm going to spend $41, I want kind of more for my money.
Right.
You know, and I'm thinking, again, I say this all the time, I can buy 2 Evan Williams 1783s for that same price.
Good point.
Does that matter here? As whiskey drinkers, I think a lot of us would say that it does. And so I'm not going to badmouth this whiskey in any way. I'm with you. I really like this whiskey. I'm enjoying the flavor of it. I like the whole presentation. The bottle looks cool. The 4 grains are interesting, and maybe that's why it's such an interesting 80 proof whiskey. The price point, it's a little sticky for me.
I can get on board with that.
For me, I think that this bottle is probably a one and done, but I will say I'm enjoying it, and as far as 80 proofers go, I think this is my favorite one that I've ever tried. We might have to put this in a flight later on this year. One last note about Joshua Tree. Do you have any regrets?
Well, I did get sick, so we stayed, which, I mean, you can't have regrets about that, it just happens, but we did stay for a full week. It was we were really excited, and I got sick almost immediately, and so there was one hike that we wanted to do, which was Ryan Mountain. I think it's the most popular hike in the entire park.
It might be, yeah.
So we didn't get to do that. I'm not super upset about it. We saw so much cool stuff while we were there, and most people only stay for like a day or two. They don't stay for a whole week, so I'm not bummed, but it's just one thing that was on our list that we didn't get to accomplish.
Yeah, and I'm with you on that because I got sick at the end of our time in Joshua Tree, and then the Cottonwood area, which I really wanted to explore. We're just going to have to come back and check out more, and I don't think that that's really ultimately a big deal. We can make that happen on the way back, maybe. We'll see.
Maybe. We got to come back this way.
Hey, as long as Hidden Valley Campground is going to stay $15, I will come back as often as it takes because it is gorgeous there and absolutely worth the trip from wherever we are.
To wherever you are.
Cheers.
Cheers. That cloud ruined my sunset. Join us next week for Giant Statues in the Desert and a tasting of Courage and Conviction, American Single Malt Whiskey. You don't want to miss this one. The statues are so cool. Even if you come for the whiskey, don't miss the statues.